Africa Confronting. Welcome to the exhibition, Critically Queer, curated by Jabu Pereira. So as to start this event that the Institute for Humanities in Africa has put together, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Institute first, very briefly. And to do that, I would like to call upon Professor Deborah Posel, who's my colleague and the founder of the Institute for Humanities in Africa, and she'll tell you a little bit about HUMA. Thank you.
It's a humanities institute in one way of being African. But if there is a geographical space that we all share, that space for all of us who inhabit it is as much about borders and ruptures and barriers as it is about shared roots of experience. So to confront what it means to be in Africa, it seems to me, is about connection and disconnection. And I can't think of a more powerful set of issues to dramatize that question right now in Africa than the question of queer. So it seems to me absolutely at the forefront of the program of the next few days is going to be that question. Being queer in Africa, connected to and disconnected from, in a whole series of quite complex, painful, and no doubt exhilarating ways too. We are an institute for the humanities. We do have a series of umbrella themes, one of which is really, I think, at the heart of this event. And that is the question of what it means to be human. I mean, this is a question that I think probably every single discipline in the human and social sciences has to grapple with. It's also an issue that is at the heart of most politics, certainly most politics in the century, in the 21st century. And there are swathes of literature on it, and at the risk of doing violence to all of the complexity in that literature, it seems to me if you were to survey it and extract one kind of kernel of wisdom from it at the moment, it would be that to be human, the key feature of being human is what one can call plasticity, a certain kind of fluidity. There's nothing absolutely and completely fixed. There is no solid, essential human nature. We can speak about a human condition, but there's a great deal of variety that rests within that. And I imagine that again, is an issue at the heart of this symposium. And I look forward, as I hope to share as much of the program as I can with everybody here, to hear how the question of being queer in Africa addresses what for us is a key concern about the meaning of our
One of the reasons why we came up with the idea of putting queer in Africa, confronting the crisis, was really the silence that the academic community had, the visible silence from the academic community about the issue, about what happened, for example, in Nigeria and Uganda, and what's increasingly happening in other countries in the continent. And the silence, we came together as a community. There's a community of artists, community of writers, community of scholars, community of activists, and said we are going to confront this crisis, and we will come up with a collaborative response that confronts the crisis. And there's a number of responses that we've come up with, and one of them being the book that you will see being sold at the back. The book is also a collaborative project. It's called Reclaiming African with a K, African with a K. Queer perspectives on sexual and gender identities, and this book is a collection of most of the artwork that you see here in this exhibition, but also essays by queer writers and scholars. Many of them are here actually. I think all of them are here, including all the artists in that book. So this is one, and the second is this exhibition, Critically Queer. What does it mean for us to talk about being queer in Africa now? The third is a series of events that we've put together over the next few days. There's discussions, there's walkabouts with artists on Saturday. There's a full-day symposium on Monday, the 2nd of June, with scholars and activists from different parts of the continent. And you're all welcome to all of those events, including a film screening tomorrow night at the Labia. So there's a whole range of things that we've decided to put together to really confront the crisis. And it was important for us to confront the crisis firstly and mostly at the university, to destabilize the silence and the hierarchies, the power that this university holds, and how the university offers us the opportunity and the space to talk back to what is happening in our society. So we're using that space, but also we're using a particular space, the gallery, white walls, many of which are not accessible to many of the artists that you see here on this show. Many of these artists cannot be in a gallery space, and we decided we will put them in the gallery, and we will destabilize the gallery. And your presence here does exactly that. So thank you for that. Also, what I'd like to welcome again and to introduce Professor Thandabantu Tlhapho, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of UCT. This event is part of what UCT has, which is called Africa Month. And Professor Tlhapho has been championing Africa Month at UCT for the past few years.
Thanks Zetu very much for inviting me. The reason I jumped at the chance to say a few words here was because this, to me, is proof positive that the thing we have been calling Afropolitanism at UCT is seriously getting established and embedded. You see, it doesn't get any better than this. When you think about it, funding from the Vice Chancellor's Strategic Fund for people to travel, for those travelers to have very strong links with the continent on which we are, and to again underline the idea that was always at the back of Afropolitanism, which was simply to persuade UCT that being on this continent is first of all a good thing, and secondly, that we can use it much better and enjoy it much better than we've done in the past, and thirdly, that we can all take joy and a certain sense of pride in deciding for ourselves what we mean by being African or being in Africa, as Deborah said. And that is what led to Africa Day, which we celebrated on the 25th of May every year as the birthday of the OAU, later the successor AU. That's what led it turning from one day into 31 days in May, from Africa Day to Africa Month. It turned out that there was a great desire, an upsurge of willingness on the part of UCT to take all of the 31 days to decide in what way to express being an African, or being in Africa, or being concerned with things African. So for me, this gathering is really it. It's as Afropolitan as you can get. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the reason for Afropolitanism, the kernel at the center of it all, was not really just to glow in or indulge our Africanism or African identity, as much as it was actually quite pragmatic. It was to say this university, at the bottom tip of the African continent, blessed with a number of good and fortunate positions, such as being number one on the continent according to some rankings. What could we do to ensure that translates into a vibrant, lively, exciting, challenging academic life? And again, this gathering of yours that you have put together here is that. It is that by excellence. It is about confronting the questions that we need to confront this continent. I come from a legal background. It's a legal background where my job is basically that of a teacher of African customary law. I teach family law. And so I know more than most people what values, what worldviews, and what stances the African family, for instance, takes over various issues, including issues of QinA. So this is like a breath of fresh air to some of us, to have you gather together.
We do an event every year. It's called the Pink Week. And this particular moment at Pink Week went down in history. Professor Nhlapo, so usually what the students do is at the Jenny Stairs where Neo was performing today, a fantastic performance, by the way, thank you, Neo. So at the Jenny Stairs, the students put a pink cabinet, a closet basically. And what you do, you come and write your messages in the pink closet. And there's been scandals about this pink closet. Somebody tried to burn it a few years, or people tried to steal it, etc. So last year, while I was standing around the pink closet, Professor Nhlapo did a fantastic thing. Nobody saw it happen, but Professor Nhlapo came out. and he literally came out of the closet. So you can imagine the kind of university that UCT is. If you have a DVC who comes out. Thank you. We are the two more speeches, so I know some people might get a little bit tired, so try to move around, grab something to drink, etc. But the next person I want to introduce is our guest speaker. The next person I want to introduce is our guest speaker. Dr. Stella Nyanzi is a senior researcher and associate at the Makerere Institute for Social Research, and also at the Law and Sexuality Unit, Law and Sexuality Unit at Makerere University.
Dr. Zetu Matebeni for inviting me. Professor Tadabatu Nhlapo, I've been revising your name, how to say that H. Faculty, staff, students, visitors like myself, activists in the house, artists, academics, those of us who claim spaces, whichever spaces we can, from what we represent here, I salute you. Because this is about queer in Africa. I thought I am a Muganda from Uganda, okay? I am a PhD, Dr. Nyanzi, they call me at my faculty. There's one thing, if I'm going to present Buganda, okay, where I come from, when men like Professor and all the men here, trans men, okay, men born with penises, men born with vaginas, men who've transcended this, when men are around, people with vaginas like me, we kneel down. This, where I come from, is what represents Africa. And a lot of feminists say, how patriarchal is that? For a woman with a vagina, a womb, to kneel before men, they came from us. Okay? How do you kneel? I am called Mama Stella, Zetu has introduced me. And I'm kneeling before children, before fathers and sons, before daughters and mothers, before sisters. Because it is important for me, when we talk about Africa, that the Africa I represent as a Muganda comes to the fore. I am tired of reading about Africa, and it is a very plastic place where I don't find my sense of Africanness. Where Africa is about, hi, howdy. Where Africa is about all the different languages we represent. Where Africa is about Facebook and chat, and Twitter, and WhatsApp. Okay? Where Africa is about very many things that I do not see my Africanness in. I want to celebrate this space in a special way. What is an academic doing here? What are we doing here today? I'm from Uganda. Uganda. So Uganda goes down among LGBTIQ thinking as a problem space. What am I doing here? I want to introduce in a special way the crisis confronting queerness in Africa, right? As I begin, I want to thank very much the university, UCT, as we've been told it's ranked first, to come from Makerere in Uganda, where we think we are the best, and come to UCT. I did not pay a cent. And so I want to celebrate UCT for opening up spaces. And I am one out of very many. My sisters from Nigeria, I salute you because Uganda and Nigeria are the ugly two sisters in Africa. But I will tell you what UCT has done for us. UCT has allowed us to break from the cages that my sister represented through performance and come and claim queer space and say, yes, Uganda has legal problems. Yes, Nigeria has legal problems. But as Africans, as thinkers, as people who embody this thing we call Africa, we too can come and make a queer critique. Okay, begin to engage with this thing called knowledge generation. And so I want to celebrate UCT, the university, this Afropolitan program that some of us have been thinking about. Is UCT trying to colonize us? What is UCT doing about reaching beyond the Limpopo? You have brought us activists together with academics, artists and academics in a space, the university. White walls, black bodies, brown bodies, white bodies, queer bodies, fluid gendered bodies. We are all here in this space with a professor, with professors, with students, with faculty. We are all here claiming our space and beginning to engage in serious ways with the question of queerness beyond white queerness. We talk about coming to South Africa. They say to us, oh, homosexuality, Africa, South Africa, it's a white queerness. But bringing those of us from Zambia, my sister from Zambia, I hail you, I salute you. My sisters from Nigeria, I salute you. Comrades from Uganda, asylum seekers, I found asylum seekers here from Nigeria. We have had to flee from our countries and come and enter this space as a space of refuge. I want to celebrate UCT because you're taking advantage of the constitutional liberties, the rights that are given to you, and allowing us to come home. Saying to us, you don't have to flee from Africa. You don't have to go to America. I know a lot of Africans from home who have fled Uganda because the law is so tough. We don't have to go where the winter is so bad. The winter in Cape Town is okay. And what I want to say is, Professor, this should not be taken for granted. Professor Deborah Postel, I want to salute you in a special way because the humanities, for a long time, when we critique knowledge generation around queerness, okay, we're too simplistic if we say we haven't generated knowledge. STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, they've been creating a lot of knowledge around the biology of sexualities, the biology of gender, right? What are the humanities doing? Why is the humanities, arts, social sciences, where is our contribution to the debate around queerness in Africa? Why are we sealed? What is wrong with our heads, our abstractions, our theories, our ways of thinking? What is wrong with us? I want to celebrate humor. Is it humor or whom? I will say it like I'm Uganda. I want to celebrate humor. Because humor has done something important in terms of allowing, demanding that the humanities and arts in Africa, the social sciences, begin to engage critically with the issue. We cannot, if we think, as we claim we think, humanities scholars, artists, social scientists, where is our engagement with the issues? These are critical issues. Right now in my country, if I spoke the way I'm speaking, I could be arrested for promotion of homosexuality, okay? And so even if I may want to be queer and radical and practical and published so I don't perish as a young scholar, really, I will be criminalized. And so humor, you're doing an important job. And on to us academics within Africa who cannot dare say a word because we are sealed. My president will come pick me. If he doesn't pick me, ISO, that's the security organs, will come pick me. If they don't, the university will throw me out. The VC will say, who's that woman? Okay? But Huma has said, because our constitution allows academic freedom, let us engage the queer question. And so there have been a lot of conversations before. Scientists are ahead of us. Okay? Our president in Uganda invited geneticists and psychologists and epidemiologists and all them people who are respected because they're positivistic, okay? Not soft constructionists like us in the social sciences and humanities. And you know what they did? These scientists put together very good hardcore science. I mean, geneticists, come on, yeah? You know what the politicians did? They spinned the info. Very good science abused by politics, okay? The artists, because of the nature of our work, it's interpreted. It's soft. It can be this or that. It's very Butlerian. It's Foucauldian. We can agree and disagree and engage and disengage and destabilize spaces and questions and political issues in ways that will not be problematic. But why are our lips sealed? I want to celebrate Zetu Matebeni. Zetu represents for me the sort of scholar activists that we should be. Where are the public intellectuals? Where are the activists who can engage with academic discourse? Where are the Zetu Matebenis? Zetu Matebeni, I load you. Am I saying your name right, or is it Chiganda? It is the African question I represent. And so, why I think Zetu is important is because she saw opportunity within UCT. UCT has an Afropolitan issue. As queer scholars, queer people in Africa, of African descent, whatever Africa is, okay? Let us go beyond Africa as black race. Africa is black, white, brown, green, blue, whatever. Let us go beyond Africa as just space within the continent. To those of us in diaspora, let us go beyond Africa as the moment of problem and look at Africa as a resource. Let us go beyond Africa as the crisis we represent: poverty, disease, whatever it is, lack, okay? And I want to talk about Africa in the ways we were told Africa is whatever we define it. Africa as our future, yeah? I'm talking about Zetu. She saw an opportunity at UCT and said, I represent specific queer subjectivities. I represent the academia. I represent artists. I represent activism. Let us bring them together with the resources of the South African nation, with the resources of the UCT University, the Afropolitan Dream, Africa Week. Let us bring them together as well with the crisis in Africa. And so wherever Zetu Matebeni is, you don't have to be called Zetu, you could be called Stella or Philo or Petra or Patrick or whoever. What is your injection?
Celebration, as you can see. Celebration of art, it's a celebration of artists coming together. And what I'd like to do is not only to invite, which is our last speaker, Jabu Pereira, the curator, but I would also like, and with them, I would like to welcome and to thank and congratulate Jabu Pereira for putting together this wonderful exhibition.
Hi everyone. Everything else has been said. Just to say that this exhibition and the artists in front are bringing together a really important conversation. I'm sure some of the artists here probably never even met each other, but in this space they're already having a conversation with each other. I think what's really pertinent for me about this exhibition is really the regionality of it, that even though we are confronting several crises, not a crisis, in this continent, that we can, in all ways possible, claim space. And tonight we're claiming UCT. We're queering UCT, and we're bringing this exhibition to the university to actually say that there has to be a greater engagement, I think, around the visual arts, around queer identities, around sexual orientation. And just to say to the artists, thank you also for trusting me with putting your work in conversation with each other. other.